Mr. Rob Sperry is on with us. And for our viewers, for our listeners, Rob is a hubby. And he's a dad. You are a rock star in the multi-level marketing world, a coach, international speaker. But here's the best part about you. You're a friend. So I'm excited to have you on. We just collaborated together on something pretty big. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the book that you just launched with all the authors. And I was humbled to be asked to be a part of that. So we're going to get to that. But first, say hello to everybody. Tell everybody kind of a little bit about you, where you're from, who you are.
I like long walks on the beach with the sunset, all the good stuff. No, I'm excited to be on. It's been a long time coming. I know we're always back and forth chatting on Messenger about, just incredible things going on in life and business, and love your energy. And it's been fun to watch your journey, even in the last couple of years from when the last time we hung out, which was Mackinac Island, right? Wasn't that it?
It was it. I was going to talk about that anyways, because when you met me, I was at that actual week was the worst week of my life. Like, I showed up to that just hanging by a thread. I was sick. I had was ready to hit a rock bottom. And I got through that entire event, but I did get to sit down with you a little bit, your wife. I got to know Rob a lot more than just on social media. Cause everybody thinks they're best friends on social media, and then you get together and you're like, wait a minute, do we know each other or what? But it's easy. You are a very straightforward, no hype, no BS, but very fun. I really liked your energy as well. And I think it was cool. People come together for a reason. You were one of the people I remembered at that event. I remember coming home so depressed and realizing I got to get my shit together, because I had been drinking so much. I was sad, depressed. I was going through a lawsuit. I had all the things happening and nobody really knew what was going on at the level it was. And I just wanted a friend. I was like, I just need a couple of friends. But you've always been supportive. And I think it's important, in this industry, in the network marketing industry, we were a small group of people that do a lot of things, but the support is everything. And honestly, if it wasn't for this industry, I wouldn't be here. And I might not have made it through some of the rough stuff, because there was a couple really key players in helping me get through my transformation and my journey. And you were one of them. So that's awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. And it just goes to show you just never know what people are going through. And we're all pretty much in one form or another bunch of Judge Judys out there, right? Trying to judge everybody. It's why are they you just don't know what people are going through and what they've been through and where they're at. What things may appear to be doesn't mean that's how they are. And we've all gone through those experiences. I'm not going to talk about it now, but Shylo knows I talked about that on stage in Mackinac, of the most traumatic experience that's happened to me. And I firmly believe if we all sat down and shared those experiences that we've been through, people would be like, oh my gosh, I never knew. And they would be so much less judgmental. And it's gotten to the point now where I've learned anytime I judge someone, especially if it's a strong critique, the first question I ask myself is, what am I so insecure about with this particular situation? Because I realized that it's my insecurities being magnified. So why am I so bothered? And real quick, just my short story, been in the profession since 2008. I started out, went full-time right away, like a complete idiot. I didn't know the difference between residual income and bonus income. So had a massive check that first month. So I literally quit a 6-figure job. So I didn't do this out of desperation. I did this because I saw something that could be much, much bigger and better. And yes, I did the typical, was against everything in network marketing. I said no to 11 different network marketing companies. I live in Utah, and if you haven't been approached by at least 5, that means you don't have friends, because it feels like that there's one every block. Off the exit alone where I live, there's 4 or 5. So, that was my miss little perception that I had of the industry. Got started, long story short, I became the top recruiter out of 1 million distributors. Built my business in 40 countries. And then amongst that, there were failure upon failure, or learning lesson upon learning lesson. My 5th month in the business, I worked 80 hours a week and I made less than $400 a month. So I could have gone to work at McDonald's making minimum wage, and I would have been filthy rich compared to what I did in network marketing. And so I just only share that because I don't have time to go through all the highs and all the lows, but people always hear the highlight reel and they don't understand. Yeah, there were times where it was like, what am I doing? What did I get myself into? Is this thing ever going to happen? Right. But I didn't share those out loud. I just thought, those were the inner thoughts that everybody goes through unless they joined and got lucky. And I don't care how good you are, that does happen every so often where they just got lucky, no trials, momentum. But eventually everyone has those trials. And so I'm grateful for them now. They were difficult to go through, right? I think I went through the highs and lows that most people go through in 30 years in a matter of 5 or 6 years because I was just so laser focused. I wasn't anything particularly just amazing. I just out-disciplined everybody and I was extremely coachable, which the last thing I'll say is the ability to learn how to learn is the greatest ability one can have. And that was the ability that I had. It wasn't the fastest starter, right? Any of that type of stuff, but I had that ability to learn how to learn. So Shylo, I'm honored to be on, and I love these type because before we talked, we had no idea. We just said, hey, we're just gonna go with it, and that's when it's free flowing and my favorite podcast. So I'm all ears. Any questions, any direction you want to go, I'm happy to go.
Well, I think let's talk about the vulnerability, because the reason that I think I connected to you was you shared the most vulnerable story of your life. I was really surprised by it. I remember sitting back and just processing it and thinking, one of the struggles I had early on in entrepreneurship, because, the people who listen to this, this is not just a network marketing podcast. This is like entrepreneurs, up and coming artists. And, a lot of women listen to this show. And as you know, multi-level marketing is run by lots of women, lots of women. And then we've got our amazing men too. Okay. We have our amazing men and then men like you that take the lead and go beyond and go into the coaching world and have done incredible things. And so what I want to talk about though is the vulnerability is why we connected, and something I struggled with for the first maybe 7 years. I didn't know how to be vulnerable in the right ways. I thought, if I tell everybody all my stuff, that's too much. And I got to keep some of this filtered. And then I'm like, I'm filtered here and I don't want to be filtered because I'm known for not being filtered. And it was like this constant battle of finding out who the heck I was. And I think this comes into a branding conversation too that we can talk about. But being your authentic self and being vulnerable was my biggest challenge. And watching people like you share stories that were like, whoa. I couldn't believe that and could share that without, falling apart, or share that without trying to hide certain things about the story. So let's talk about being vulnerable in business. What do you see right now when it comes to people trying to be other people? I mean, we can apply this
for sure.
Social media is crazy. So let's just talk about that.
Yeah, I think at the beginning, I wanted to have success so bad that you look at examples and you try to emulate those examples. And here's where people go wrong. They confuse principles and techniques. So the principle you can extract from everyone. The technique's going to be applied differently with different styles and personalities. So the person that signed me up, he's now made over $30 million in network marketing. And he was the most bold, brash, strongest type A personality I still have ever met in my entire life. Mm-hmm. And his delivery on his technique was complete opposite of my bold delivery. At the beginning, I tried to be him. It didn't come off very well at all. Like at all. It was just people kind of looking at me weird that knew me. And then eventually I started to extract the principle of, okay, the world loves boldness, makes people curious. It's contagious. His invite is super short and sweet, which keeps it very confident. So I started to extract the principles that, okay, how do I apply that with my own unique style and personality? And then eventually when I started having success, when I applied it to my personality style and I didn't try to be somebody else, I just tried to become the best version of me, which is cliche. And we hear those and we're like, yeah, I know, but too many people don't actually really challenge that thought and don't apply it. Then after that, I didn't really share many weaknesses because I felt almost like maybe a little imposter syndrome. So I felt like I had to, find ways to have credibility, some insecurities. And so it took me some time to really start realizing that if you share all your accolades, which there's nothing wrong with that, you impress people. But when you share vulnerability, you connect with people. So it's not bad to impress people. It's matter of fact, if that's what you've done, that's what you've done. For me to tell people that I was the number one recruiter out of 1 million distributors probably took me about 6 years to feel comfortable saying that. Even though I didn't feel like I was bragging, it was trying to empower others of, hey, I can help you. I wasn't the fastest, but I learned how to do it. And so I just think it's so important, and you've done that so well, is people feel like they really, truly get to know you. Because if you try to be everything to everyone, you're going to be nothing to no one. And the way that you can actually stand out, niches to riches, is to really tell people who you actually are. What are some of your struggles? Like I did, most of the time on business pages, unless you pay to promote, you get no interaction. You know this, right? It's like I've got,
Right.
I don't know, 160,000 people on my business page, and maybe it's more, I don't even know. But if I just make a post there and I don't pay to promote it, it just does okay. It doesn't do great. Well, I did a post that, I think you read, I think you commented on, and I just talked about a hike that I did with my wife, probably, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago. And as I did the hike, I talked about how, I was a total just D-bag is what I wrote in it. And if you look at that post, I was trying to pull it up now, but I'll look later.
It's fun.
If you look at it, I don't know. I mean, it went crazy, did extremely well, didn't pay to promote it at all, because it connected with people. And it wasn't in a way that, and that's the biggest difference, is you're not trying to do it in a way to get negative attention. You have to understand that attention isn't bad. Attention is the number one currency of marketing. Attention with the right intention is the biggest key. Jesus Christ got a lot of attention, right? Good thing, because couldn't have impacted the world. Gandhi, Mother Teresa got a ton of attention. So I talk about that actually in depth in my masterminds, and it's like one of the favorite topics, because people have these limiting beliefs with attention. I did, at least. It's like growing up, my dad would always be like, "Do you just want attention?" And my dad's an incredible dad, right? And I found myself saying that to my kids too at first. And then I realized, I'm like, gosh, don't start saying that. Attention with the right intention is incredible. You can change the world. And so that's, I know it's a long-winded answer, but that's what I would say is just really attention with the right intention. Understand that the power of vulnerability, it actually truly frees you. Like you feel so much stronger and more powerful, which is just crazy to think.
Right, exactly. Oh my God. I wrote that down, intention with the right intention. It's funny because I had so many limiting beliefs behind that as well. Like, I don't want to show too much money. I don't want to show too much success. Ooh, I don't want to do that. I want to be really real, and I want to be relatable. And I was trying so hard that I was missing the one thing that was going to elevate me. I've done well in all the businesses I've been in when it comes to network marketing. And that's a blessing. I'm super grateful to say that I've, been blessed with 3 businesses that have done very well. But where I'm at now, what I finally tapped into in the last few years is I took my pain and I made it my purpose. And I got that from Marina Worry. She was on a Clubhouse, and I got to talk to her, and she was sharing this. And I was like, that is perfect. Because, this year, as you know, I've gone through several transitions and had a lot of life. And I've never had to go through this type of life changes in the spotlight. Social media, we are all a part of it. And being, kind of in the place I am, I'm like, I could either hide and like totally retreat, because I'm an introverted extrovert. You can talk about that all the time. We'll talk about that in a second. But I also am like, my energy's off of people. So I need time to totally recharge. Like I can go to an event, but then I'm like, I'm going to go hide. I'm going to put my hoodie on. I'm going to go hide. No one's going to see me for like a week because I need to get myself back together. And, I chose to take my journey of sobriety. I chose to take my journey of a divorce, which was really tough, and do it gracefully. That was the other word, like not do it with like, this is what happened, and like sharing all the crazy stuff, but try to use that to help other people, because there were a lot of people in my journey over the last 5 years that didn't know that they saved me or helped me with those types of stories. And I thought, you know what? I've got to do it and be vulnerable. I've got to do it and share the suck. See, I always say share the suck, because the moment I started to be completely real and be like, listen, this is what happened. I have gotten more genuine, authentic connections and just long-term relationships because I just chose to let go of this facade. It was almost like I was trying to, I came into the industry trying to be a guy. Like I totally was the guy. Like I was hustle, hustle, hustle. I talked like a man. I was so hardcore masculine, and people did like it. Like their women liked it, and then the guys liked it. But then it was like I was exhausted. So I've made every mistake. So part of my stories too, and we'll pass it back to you, obviously, is I've made all the mistakes. And I think if you said how fast you went, you failed forward. Like you fail as fast as you can in any business you start, but that's how you get there quicker. And I just made every mistake. And I mean, I still make all the mistakes, but I mean, everyone's always like, what would be your biggest strength? I'm like, well, I've made all the mistakes, so I can help you with them. I can tell you from experience what to do and what not to do and guide you a little bit. So let's talk about that. You fail your way to success. I truly believe that. And I think so many people are afraid of it. They're afraid to even get a little dirty. So let's talk about that dirty, that gritty part, maybe the business.
I think people in general, it's the mother of all fears is the fear of judgment. And for me, it all comes down to that, because if you remove the fear of judgment, just imagine you remove humans. You don't have the fear of success. You don't have the fear of failure. You don't have the fear of missing out. You don't have the fear of rejection. You don't have none of those fears. They're just gone, right? You still have the fear of heights, but that's a little bit different, right? That's a painful fear, right? A physical fear, rather than just your standard mental. And I know there's still things that are mental, but when you think about that, the fear of judgment is the mother of all fears. And so when we think of failure and how we need to change our perception, where does it stem from? The root comes from us worrying what other people think. And nobody cares. Once you've arrived, everybody always says how they always knew you were going to arrive, and they forget. I got a good buddy, Chris, who made fun of the entire neighborhood, to the entire neighborhood, that I can't believe Rob's doing the network marketing thing. And it was funny. He was at a ClickFunnels event. He's not part of network marketing. And I get a picture from a 7-figure earner that's in network marketing. And they take a photo with Chris, and they're just like, oh, Chris is just raving about you, how incredible you are. And he always knew it. Like, yeah, I still remember Chris, like good guy, but Chris, I didn't forget. And it's just interesting. And then once you achieve it, then it's like, oh, but people don't understand that the two questions everyone asks themselves is, number one, is it worth it? Right? Whatever entrepreneurial vehicle we're talking about or you're looking at, is it worth it? And can I do it? And that's it. Like, can I do it? Can I make it happen? Are there other people that have done it? Yes. If I put everything in, I can. But then it's like, is it worth it? Is it worth it to be judged by friends and family? Is it worth it to be judged by the world and attacked maybe on social media? Is it worth it to go through some failures and people just be like, it's never going to work for you, and it can, and then they may laugh at you and tell you, I told you so. Like, is it worth it? So if you can shift your perspective, and truly, I changed this saying. It used to be marry the process, divorce the results. Now it's, as of 2 weeks ago, marry the process, date the results, because there is some importance to results. But if you marry the process and date the results, then you become so process driven. That's what people do, musicians and athletes and everything. And of course, you want to obsess with being able to have those results, but how you get them is obsessing in the process. And so no one can have success without failing. And so if you can change it to, like Shylo was talking about, of failing forward quicker, now everything that happens to you is for good. So the last example I'll give on that is this. I got to the point of anything that happened to me that was bad, there was a word that came to my mind always. And that word was this: parlay. So I would parlay anything bad into something good. Sure. I would parlay a trial of, oh my goodness, this good team member just quit my team, huge later. Like, that's okay. Now I'm going to be able to connect when that happens to other people. Now I'm going to have to create even a stronger and better culture so that it happens less. If I went through a phase of getting my butt kicked where my check was low, like less than $400 for the month, well, great. Now I can connect more with people and I can learn what did I do wrong and how can I be more effective with my time. So I'm going to parlay that. So I got to the point of everything that happened to me was purposeful in the sense that it helped me and was going to help me create this incredible, most epic story. And I could go through it. I don't have time now, but I could literally go through a sob victim story for an hour where you'd be like, oh my gosh, you went through that and that and that and that and that and that and that. I can't even believe, how did you get through that? And then you went through that and that. And then you had an awesome, incredible partnership where somebody worked 4 hours a month and you split the check with them when you were working 80 hours a week. Yeah, true story. Right? How did you do that? And that person's spouse was working. So it's not that they needed the income. They had a full-time income. Yeah. So I could go through it, but instead of being a victim, I transitioned into a survivor and then eventually into a conqueror where everything that happened to me was for my good. And so, yeah, it's mindset will eat skills and systems for breakfast. That's why you've got to shift that mindset to what failure really is of getting to your destination quicker.
Absolutely. I love that. And before we go into your book and books, because I do want people to know, hello, I love what you just said, because when I look at even going into an adventure, like let's say I do the mastermind in Dubai, okay, like an investment, when you're investing in something, this is really important to me this year. This was where my mindset was very shifted. I went into the last year and a half looking at things like no matter what I invest in, it doesn't always mean I'm going to have my return of investment on it in 6 months or even a year. Yeah. What I look at is what am I getting out of this in a year? Even if I suck at what I do, like starting a podcast, even if this does not work, right? Like I fail, it's not failing, by the way, but you know what I'm saying? Like if I go into this, what is it going to do? I looked at it this way, no matter what, this is where I go. No matter what, this is what's going to happen. My communication is going to get better. I'm going to connect with incredible human beings. I'm going to be open and exposed to millions of people and thousands of networks and just incredible stories. And I'm going to grow from this. So even if it crashed and burned on paper, what it's going to do for me. And every investment I've made, and this year was the year of investments, I'll tell you, I've done a lot of stuff and I've been very strategic. But it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And the other thing was committing and completing. And so if people would just look at it a little bit different, like you said, parlay, we could go into victim mode all day. I could tell you stories. I mean, people would do the same thing and be like, I can't even believe you're still here. Right. If I want to tell that story, I could sit you down forever. We could talk about everything. But at the same time, I want people to look at me and go, that's what I want to be. I want someone to go, that's how I want to turn it around. I want to be strong. I want to be, I want to be vulnerable, but I want to be successful. And I have this. Like, I didn't want anyone to look at me and say, oh, poor Shylo. That is not what you want. And so I looked at this year as a totally different thing. So investing in business, investing in, doing projects. And I was laughed at by one of our friends, and he's like, are you doing another project? I'm like, yes, I'm doing lots of projects. I don't care because I'm keeping busy. But let's talk about the project we just did because it's so important. It just launched and it went number 1. Hello. It's in the background. I'm so grateful. And you asked me to be a part of it. It was so fun writing my little chapter. I loved it. But let's talk about, you're an author. You have had, is this the 5th or 6th book?
6th book.
6. Okay. 6th book. Crazy. It's incredible. I have people messaging me all day this last couple of days like, I want one. I was dropping them off the other day. People are really loving the book. Let's talk about this part. You started with the game of conquering, or did you?
Game of networking, then game of conquering, and then we did a couple book collaborations. We had Recruit Your Way to 6 Figures, Network Marketing Secrets from Top Earners, and then I did a really small book on sponsoring and recruiting. And then now we get, right, each one gets just a little better because you start learning of what works and what doesn't work. 6 Figures and Beyond, where, Shylo got to help collaborate on this. And it's actually challenging for these co-authors. How do I best describe it? It's like going up where these incredible speakers and trainers like Shylo saying, hey, you got this great hour speech. Can you give it in like 8 or 9 minutes? And that's really hard to do. And that's what we did in the book, where they've got all this information that they want to give, but we said, no, you got one chapter. So you got to cut out all the fluff. You got to give the best, your best strategies, and any words that aren't needed or sentences, we're going to get rid of them so that they can learn from 24 top earners. These are all minimum 6-figure earners and most 7-figure career earners. And we didn't have anybody where it's like, hey, I hope to make this work. It's every single one of them has unique styles and personalities, and they're coming in with their own unique style and personality, and they're conveying you some of the strategies that they feel like you need to be able to make it to that 6-figure level. And if you've made it, of course, you want to duplicate it and you want to be able to continue to do it. So that's where I look at it. And that's why I'm calling it a convention on steroids, because a convention, imagine taking the very best speakers. Well, now think about it. These 24 speakers are from all different companies. So now imagine taking the best speakers from all different companies and having one event. Well, we did that, and then we just put it into a book so you can read it, reread it, reread it. So we hit number one for network marketing, and we also hit number one for global marketing, which was kind of cool. That was unexpected, but it hit number one for global marketing as well. And so I'm just excited because to see already the amount of people that are messaging about, how they didn't know that, or they forgot about that, or they've never seen a chapter on that. It's been absolutely phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. The feedback has been really good. And it's not, and I do want to say this, like I have given it to a lot of people, obviously not network marketing. And I'm like, no, this is a business book. Like, this is a book for entrepreneurs. Like, even though it says network marketing is incredible for an entrepreneur. Like, where can you go, have minimum to no startup, and create a some people 8-figure earners? Like, we have 8-figure earners in the industry. And it's wild when you hear some of those stories, but it's been such a blessing. And I know we're wrapping up. We got a little bit of time. We got about 2 minutes left. So as we wrap this episode up, you have a mastermind coming up in Dubai, which I'm pretty sure I am attending. I'm coming. I have not done a mastermind with you yet, and so I was excited. I'm like, I'm going to do this one. It's on my birthday. It's like a couple days before my birthday.
Yeah, I told you we're celebrating your birthday.
Yeah,
it's going to be birthday month.
I know. You knew it. So you're like, let's do it for Shylo. No, you have to have a birthday cake for me. That's the only stipulation. The other thing, you have the mastermind. What else is happening for Rob, and what can we expect? And then how can people find you? And we will post your link as well too.
Yeah. So big focus, like Shylo, is my podcast. Now I think it's up to 124 countries have listened to it in 2 years. Which, similar to you, I just started it. And you know what? I said the same thing when I started Facebook Lives. I'm like, screw it. Yeah. Nobody watches or listens. I don't care. I'm going to get over myself, my own ego on this, and I'm just going to become better. And I was really scared to do it, as well as when I started Facebook Lives years ago. And so Network Marketing Breakthroughs with Rob Sperry, there's 202 episodes now. So that's been a fun project. Obviously, social media, you can just find me with my name, Instagram or Facebook. And then, yeah, I love doing masterminds. I mean, that's my thing, because I love having, a small group of people where you can actually really have those breakthroughs. And so the Dubai ones, for those that make minimum 6 figures a year, will have probably a total of 20 companies is what I'm right now. I think we have 18, so we'll have a couple more. And then I do one in Sundance, that's Utah, that's a breakthrough mastermind that has the combo of 6-figure earners and those that make $100 to $200 a month that are like, hey, I really want to go to the next level. And that's a much more emotional deep dive. And this next one will actually be January of this next year. And I do several of those a year. So that's the basic gist. But I will tell all of you, as you're tuning in, get the book. I mean, the book, and get it from Shylo. She'll have some extra copies, and if she doesn't, she'll buy some extras and get some for you. But get the book. The book is truly a great roadmap to help you to have that success. You're going to find at least 3 or 4 chapters that really connect with you. And then there'll be some other chapters that you're not ready for yet. And you're saying, what, I'm going to come back to those in 6 months or even a year, but it's going to be something you don't just read, that you truly, truly study. And Shylo, it's good to chat, even if it's just virtually. And I'm excited to see you in person again. It's been too long.
It's been way too long. It's been way too long, and a totally different person. I think, I don't know if it was you I was telling, but the old Shylo has died. She passed away. And the new one is reborn and is a very happy, healthy version, and just super grateful. Like it's just incredible to be able to say I'm going to see you in February. It's incredible that we made it through kind of a crazy 2 years, not just personally, but the whole world did. And that we're coming out of it, and that it's going to be okay. And I'm really excited for Dubai, and I'm really excited to see what you do next in your little projects, because your projects are fun, my projects are fun, and I'm going to cheer you on. So I'm grateful for you, Rob Sperry. Thank you so much.